Cameras, action. Okay.
Take your seats, please.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start the second portion of our program, and that is the 444 District Court Forum. Do I have any candidates here tonight? Mr. Raul Lopez. Mr. Lopez?
Stand up, Mr. Lopez.
Would you come on up? Mr. Lopez, I want to give Mr. Lopez 20 seconds. He's running for JP.
Well, if you give him, you got to give
Yes,
everybody
ma'am,
else.
please.
Hello, my name is Raul Lopez, and I'm running for Justice of the Peace here in Brownsville. I'm here to serve you, but first of all, I want to thank you all for being here and giving us your time. Your time and your vote is very important to all of us. This is my very first time here, and I really enjoyed being part of this good government league. Thank you very much, and I've got my cards over there at the end. If you have any questions, you can approach me or call me or go by my office. Thank you. God bless.
Is Joseph Nettles still here? Joseph Nettles, is he still here? Is he? Any other candidates here tonight? Well, we've got these guys here. John Shirt over that. So let me, some of you weren't here, and I'm going to read part of the letter that we sent the candidates, and that is, the program is intended to be a public forum and not a debate. Questions suitable for all the candidates may be submitted. We've done that to the audience and may be reviewed and compared to. We made a list of about 15 questions that we thought were of interest to the community and the electorate. The candidates were given those questions this evening right before they came in. And with the amount of time that we anticipate allocating to those questions. Both candidate introduction and wrap-up statements will be time limited, as will be the subject question and answer period. Durations will be determined by the moderator, predicated by time available. A timekeeper, Mr. Uresti, will prompt the speaker near the end of the time allocated. No personal attacks will be allowed, and our moderator and sergeant at arms will keep order. Any specific personal charges or allegations directed toward a fellow candidate who has already addressed a topic at hand will be allowed an equivalent rejoinder. So if you feel, one of you candidates feel that you've been unfairly attacked, give me the nod and let me make a decision on whether or not you should have that rejoinder. So it's probably best not to do that. It's best to just avoid it, because that will be the end of it. That rejoinder will be the end of that topic, and we'll move on to the next one. So they'll have the last word. A Meet the Candidate Mixer and Social will follow the conclusion of this program, and we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to meet and chat with your constituents and with the candidates. So you can get them with me now and the end of the door. So, Mr. Cisneros,
Yes, sir.
20 seconds. Can you say it all in 20 seconds? Come on up.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Come on up.
Oh, 20 seconds. You like seconds. I think I just wasted like 5 seconds here trying to get this mic. Folks, my name is Joseph. As I know quite a few of y'all know me. I'm running on the Republican ballot. I'm running for sheriff. I'm retired DPS. I'm currently working at the courthouse. What else can I tell you? DPS has been good to me, and the way I've learned with the Department of Public Safety to treat people with respect, and that's the same respect I'm going to show everyone, all the citizens of Cameron County. I'm going to continue to extend that, and God willing, I'll be your next sheriff here in Cameron County.
Okay, we're going to get started now. We're going to start with the introduction of the candidates, and they're going to have 3 minutes. I'll just start. On my left is is Mr. Javier Gonzalez, Janice Cassidy, J.J. Martinez on my right, and Gilberto Rosas on my extreme right. David Sanchez called earlier this evening, and he had an unexpected family event. Something came up, and he was going to try to make it. He may come in the door in a minute. We don't know. If he comes in, we'll allow him to be seated, but he'll be at a disadvantage. So we're going to start on my extreme left with Mr. Gonzalez, and we'll have this will be a timed 3-minute period in which you give us your opening statement, who you are and why, all of our things. Mr. Gonzalez.
Mr. Munoz, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Javier Gonzalez. I'm from Brownsville, Texas. I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I am running for the 444th District Court. This is the first time that I'm running in a judicial campaign or any type of campaign. To tell you a little bit about myself, I'm 40 years old. I am married. I have 2 kids, Javier and Lalo, 8, 9 years old. My wife is Mireille Nosel Gonzalez. I went to school. Let me back up here. First of all, I come from a family of 8. My mom and dad are Jorge, and my mom is Angelica Gonzalez. I'm proud to say my mom is a high school graduate, and I'm also proud to say that my dad has a 6th grade education, but he started to shrimping, and he did very well in shrimping. We are first generation professionals in my family. I've got sisters who are teachers. One of my sisters, Jessica, is a doctor. I'm a lawyer in the family. One of my brothers went into shrimping as well. And I've got another brother who got into hotel and restaurant management. I went to Russell Elementary School. I went to Stell Junior High, and I went to Pace High School, and I graduated in 1986. I went off to San Antonio, the UT in San Antonio, and I got a finance degree in San Antonio in 1990. From 1990 to 1993, I went to Texas Southern Law School in Houston, Texas, and I graduated there in 1993. I came back to the Valley, and I began working at the District Attorney's Office under Luis Saenz as a prosecutor. I worked there as a prosecutor for approximately 3 years. I started out as a misdemeanor prosecutor, prosecuting assaults, DWIs before Judge Betancourt. A lot of y'all may remember Judge Betancourt. After those 3 years in 1996, I left and I went into private practice. I'm with a law firm by the name of Weston Razor. We do some defense work. We also have done some commercial litigation on the plaintiff side. I've also handled on a pro bono basis, some family law matters as well. I will tell you all this, and you can ask around about my reputation, about my work ethic. I am somebody who does not have any type of connections other than being from the community. I don't have any connections with regard to anybody or any type of political agenda. My agenda for this 444th District Court is that I'm going to treat everybody fairly. I'm going to listen to both sides, and I'm going to make a decision based on the law and based on the argument of both sides. I'm not going to be a judge who has to be extreme or on the other side. I think a judge has to be fair and has to give people a fair shake when they get into his or her court. I believe that I'm the best qualified candidate for this court to make the right decisions. Sometimes are tough decisions for the court and for the community, but I know that at the end of the day, my decisions will sit well with me because I can look at myself and look and know that I made an impact and helped out our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Ms. Cassidy. 1 3/4 minutes.
Did he get 3 minutes? You got 3 minutes.
Did he get 3? Oh, this is
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Thank you all very much for having this assembly tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me tell you who I am, and you're listening to me and you're thinking that's not a Valley voice. In fact, it's not. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm the second oldest of 7 children from an Irish Catholic family. My father worked in a factory and he was not the boss. My mom was a stay-at-home mom while we were little, and then she went to work in the factory. And when she couldn't find factory work, she cleaned houses. And as a result of that, I came away with a work ethic that when I left high school, I never wanted to see the inside of a high school ever again. And so for the next 10 years, I worked in an office. And I went to work in a law office. And what happened was, after 10 years, when guys asked me where I graduated from school, they didn't want to hear Bishop McDevitt, high school. They wanted to know college. So I figured I'd better go to college. But you know what? I thought only smart people went to college. Well, for the next 9 years, I went to school at night. And I worked in that same job 40 to 50 hours a week. After that, I went to 4 years of law school at night and continued in that job. And I left that job the day before I graduated from law school, because my family instilled in me a work ethic. And that's what made me persevere through all those years. So when I graduated, we moved to the Valley. Now, I'm not from here, and I chose the Valley. And I chose to come here, met nice people, have gotten really involved and started a lot of programs, and have practiced law as a sole practitioner. I've done municipal law, and I still continue to do that. But the focus of my practice is family law. And I have been practicing family law in the Valley for at least 15 years now. And the reason that that is important is because that this court that has been created is a family court. It's a general jurisdiction court, but the statute charges this court with the primary responsibility will be family law. And my vast experience over the last 15 years in family law will hold me in good stead when it comes to preside over this court. I have been in the trenches with our families. I have solved problems one case at a time, one client at a time. I would like the opportunity now to sit on the bench, run an efficient court, and remedy situations with our families, and try to see it through and make sure that the families get justice as quickly as they possibly can. There's a heavy docket. There's a lot of family breakdown. I think it's interesting to point out the two new courts. One is family, one's criminal. It shows you where our society's going. This court is most important, and I urge you to look at the credentials and the qualifications and the backgrounds of people who are running for it and decide who is truly best qualified to head up this court. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Cassidy. Opening statement for Mr. J.J. Martinez, 3 minutes.
Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Cassidy and Mr. Rosas, I feel like I need to apologize for running for the same court. When they start talking about private, personal, very deep, close to my heart type of descriptions of who I am, I'm sorry to say that I've been in this earth for close to 6 decades, and I still don't know who I am. I started out in, I think I opened my eyes in Military Road, down west from here. I first dealt with this little concept called justice when I was working out there in the fields. I heard a lot of pain and suffering, and I wanted to do something about it. I first became a community organizer and / protester. I'm not ashamed of that, because I think that democracy, the best definition of democracy, is the ability to get people to participate in power. And in our part of the country, there was this last thing that Mr. Tocqueville was talking about in 1836, a philosopher from France. When he came down to our country, he went mainly in the New England states, and there he studied what is this thing called democracy, from the standpoint of the people out there in the New England states. And he never came down here. It was 1836, Mexico ruled at the time, but he was losing a lot of ground. Needless to say, All this intrigues me because we're talking about democracy, and I have 1 minute and I want to tell you more. Let me say that I've been presiding over the most hated court in America for the last 10, 12 years, called Juvenile Court and Family Court. And don't tell anybody, but I love it. I love it because I have a lot of respect for the family and the children. I confide in the powers that be not to politicize my position because I make my decisions based on the best interest of the children. And once they politicize it, other factors come in, unfortunately, like money, influence, and power. So if I get very, very, very lucky, by accident or otherwise, and I become your judge, I want to be the people's judge and treat everybody fairly, with respect and integrity, and never make a decision when I'm angry or upset. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. And our final opening statement will be by Mr. Rosas. Mr. Rosas, 3 minutes, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'm Gilberto Rosas, and I am the Associate Judge for Cameron County. I have been hearing cases for the district judges dealing with the establishment and enforcement of child support obligations for the last 17 and a half years. I believe in hard work. Believing in hard work, I graduated the top 10% of my class in Houston. I wound up in Houston because I'm the first generation on my dad's side that was born in the United States. My father just had education in Mexico, but he instilled in me the need to get educated, and I listened to him. As a result, after I graduated, I went into the military. I served 3 years, and I was honorably discharged at the rank of a Spec 5, which is a sergeant, equivalent of a sergeant. Once I got out of the Army, I then became a Brownsville. I came back to the Valley. I became a Brownsville police officer. And I believe in the hard work that within 3 years I became a detective. As a detective, I also tried to better myself, and I learned how to present cases, felony criminal cases, to the grand jury, and on the rank I through, he allowed me to do that. I then, as a police officer, I started going to college. I didn't have any college hours, so I was working full-time as a police officer and going to college full-time, and I graduated 3 years later. At that time, I was married. I had 2 children. My daughter at the time, Patty, was 3 months old when I left for Houston to go to law school. 3 years later, I graduated from law school in Houston, 31 School of Law. And I thank God, and again, because of hard work, I graduated class valedictorian of my law school class. Now, I'm proud of that because I graduated from Pan American at Brownsville, and yet the person to come in second, he graduated from Ivy League Yale University. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. I then came back to the Valley. I was a prosecutor, then went into private practice, and after being in private practice, Judge Hester appointed me out of 16 attorneys that applied to the position of the Master Court. I have been there ever since. I have heard thousands of cases. Every case has been different, and every day I look forward to going to work and doing what is in the best interest of children. I dedicate myself to always being prepared on the law because just as I expect attorneys to be ready in trying their cases, the judges should be ready on the law, and I pride myself in always doing that. And in family law, you don't get too many legal issues because most of the decisions have to be based on the facts. But when those legal issues do come up, I am ready, I am prepared, I believe in hard work, and I believe I have a little bit of time left. And I want to thank you for being here, and hopefully you will enjoy our presence here today. Thank you.
The first question is going to be number 2 on your list, and I'm going to start again on my extreme left with Mr. Gonzalez. And let me read the question. Please explain why we should elect you to be 444th District Judge. What, in your opinion, and what, in your opinion, it takes to be a good judge, and what are your goals if elected? Mr. Gonzalez, 1.5 minutes.
First of all, the reason why I believe that I'm qualified for the 444th is because of my practice. I am a trial attorney. I've handled criminal, civil, and family law cases. The court has been characterized as a family law court, but it's going to give preference to family law cases, but it's going to handle civil and criminal cases. You all need a judge who's going to be in there who understands how trials are conducted. You all need a judge in there who's going to be able to make evidentiary rulings based on the law. You all are going to need a judge in there who's going to have to be making tough decisions sometimes, but decisions that are following the law and that are also going to benefit the community. My goals, if elected to the 444th, would be, in certain cases involving divorces, is I would ask that the parties have marriage counseling. Of course, in certain cases where there may be, it's been proven that there's family violence or other types of extreme cases, I would not have in those circumstances. My other goal for this court is to treat litigants on both sides of the docket, plaintiff, defense, treat them both equally, listen to their arguments, maybe re-examine my own thoughts or my own decision that I'm going to make in the case. And last, I think, is just give the appearance of transparency for this court. Thank you.
Gonzalez, Ms. Cassidy, 1.5 minutes.
The family law docket is so huge that this judge will have more than enough work to do for a 40-hour week. My experience is that I have been a civil attorney. I have represented people on plaintiff and defendant. I have tried civil litigation cases. And actually, family law is considered civil litigation, although if you've ever practiced it, you really realize it isn't. I've also handled some criminal cases. As far as this being a general jurisdiction court, it truly is. The judge should be well qualified, as I am, in handling and knowing the rules of civil procedure and the rules of evidence, and I am qualified in those areas. But more importantly, the emphasis by statute is not a preference to family law. This court is charged with the responsibility of handling family law, of making sure that the litigants get their day in court, and that's a problem we've been having. One of the issues is this: we're a very poor community. Most of the people who come to court for a divorce or for family matters are not rich. They cannot afford to have their attorneys sitting there for hours. They cannot afford to take a day off, lose wages, come back on another day, and relive the horror over and over again. There has to be structure. There has to be days for uncontested or hours for uncontested. When people who come in who have resolved their differences step up, get in and out of court, and walk away, and the rest of the people who need more time, that we can set them up on a different day or at a different time frame. Also, I'll finish it later.
Question number 2, Judge A. Martinez.
Anyway, why should we elect you to be judge? Oh, just some humor. I think humor is the best medicine for the court system, especially when you deal with family court and also kind of with criminal court. I've dealt with both. As a judge, I've handled thousands of cases in family court and juvenile court. I've handled dissolution of marriages, division of property, protective orders when there's violence out there in society. We need to get involved. I've handled cases involving just the idea of Moses Voodoo trials. I've handled the whole gamut of cases, and I'm still learning. I keep telling people. Today I gave a talk in the school, and they were asking me, how come you have so much education and look so young? And I said, well, I don't feel young, but
I've been blessed with education, and I admit it to all of you, and don't tell anybody, it's a secret, it's been an accident, but I'm proud of it. Doctor's in philosophy and education administration, plus an law degree, and that's helped me a lot with children. When I deal with children, I think it's a very special type of situation involving the court system. And I've been lucky in that one of the hardest things that we have to do in family court is deal with custody fights. They're tough, especially on the children. I keep telling the two parents that you get a divorce, but you're still a family whether you like it or not. And if you're suffering as adults, multiply it by 50. That's what the children are suffering. And that's what I've always been concerned about. That's it.
Thank you, Judge Rodriguez. Mr. Rosas.
Why should you elect me as your district judge of the 4.4? Because I'm qualified for that position and my experience speaks for itself. Back in May of 1990, when the position became open, Judge Hester, as the administrative judge for the region, had to make a decision. He had 16 applicants for this position. And out of those 16 applicants, he selected me. And I'm still there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still there because I love the job that I do. I'm dedicated to my job. I respect the people that come before me. I respect people that I work with. I work with the district clerk's office. I work with the sheriff's office. I believe that we all have to work together to accomplish what is in the best interest of children. We also need to work together to accomplish what we need to accomplish in our respective positions. I have worked in all positions that I have had, and I've given my 120% to whatever I have done in life. I've always thought that way. I have tried thousands of cases. I have seen the good, I have seen the bad, I have seen tears cried. And I have on more than one occasion told people that I pray to God that I make the right decision, because it takes God to help us make these decisions, some of these decisions that appear to be unsolvable. But we're not perfect. This is an imperfect world, and someone has to make the ultimate decision. I have enough experience, I have enough qualifications to make that decision for as a judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Our next question will be question number 3 on your list. And we're going to start with Mr. Rosas and move to my left. So the question is, who are your top 5 financial supporters, and how much do you expect to expend in this election? Mr. Rosas.
As far as my top financial supporters, the majority of my supporters are attorneys, and as to how much I intend to spend, I would like to expend as much as it takes to get this position, because I feel that I am qualified for it. How much I actually will get, that's another matter. But I will walk the streets. I will stand out there with signs. I will pray to my God, and I will do whatever it takes, regardless of the money. I don't have an amount. I cannot give you an amount. All I'm telling you is my heart tells me that I want to be your district judge, however much it takes. But however much it takes may not be what I raise, but what I raise with God's help, God's will be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Ms. Cassidy, 1.25 minutes.
My top 5 supporters are my husband and me, 5 times over. Yesterday we filed our report, first report for the ending December 31st. I reported 0 contributions. Why is that? Do I have no support? That's not a fact. Actually, contributions don't vote. What I've got is support of my colleagues. I've got support from the family bar. As I said to you before, we are a poor community. The poorest of the lawyers are the family law practitioners. And I have no idea what we will spend in the end. Since the first of the year, I have been honored and I have gotten some contributions, but it doesn't matter. We're getting out to talk to the people. We have a good message. It doesn't take money, it takes votes. And I believe that when you hear my message, you will find me the best suited and having the best temperament to sit on the bench. And so I really ask you for your support, regardless of how many signs of mine you see or you don't see. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. Mr. Gonzalez, what are your 4 minutes?
Question was, who are my financial supporters and how much do I expect to spend in this election? First of all, my number one financial supporter is myself, Javier Gonzalez, and actually my wife, Mireille Gonzalez. Other supporters have been my family, have been my brother-in-law, have been my sister-in-law, who have been very supportive and give me financial campaign donations in this campaign. Obviously, running for any type of judicial position is expensive. You know, everybody, the candidates before me came up here and said, one of them said I expect to spend over $100,000. I probably expect to spend maybe about $25,000 if I can raise that. I've got a fundraiser next week on Thursday at the VICC, 6 to 8 o'clock. Everybody's invited. But that's probably where I think I'll be spending it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. My apologies, Mr. Martinez. Who are your 5 top financial supporters, sir?
The professor told me in most of my classes, I'll answer the second question first. I'm not used to a microphone because I always shout and I was raised in the rancho, so I'm having problems with this thing. You know, kind of like asking how much you're going to spend to get elected. It's kind of like me asking the Pope, how much does it cost to get to heaven these days? It's a very difficult question. But I will say this, I want to thank Rosa, she's here, she made me tamales, and I want to thank my daughter, she's a lawyer, and she gave me $1,000, bless her heart. Give her a big applause. I don't want to embarrass Judge Bellamy, but he gave me my fighting fee plus. And Piro, my friend who I kicked and he pushed me and he almost killed me. We were 2 years old at the time. And I want to thank Cameron Park and Del Mar Heights and La Muralla and San Pedro and El Ranchito and La Paloma, and they gave me some money too. But money aside, I just want votes. Thank you very much.
Our next question will be question 1, item 1. And we'll start on my left with Mr. Gonzalez. The question is, why do you choose to run in this election as a Democrat? And what is it that you admire most about the Democratic Party that the Republican or any other parties for that matter are lacking? 3/4 of a minute, sir.
Question is why I ran as a Democrat. One thing I will tell you that comes to mind is my mom's mom. My grandmother who grew up in Southmost as a kid growing up. When my dad would go out shrimping, my dad would drop us off, me and the kids and my mom over at my grandma's house. And some of the memories I have at my grandma's house is on her sofa in the living room, she'd have a blanket of JFK, John F. Kennedy. She had plates of John F. Kennedy on her shelves there at my abuelita's house. And, you know, it's inbred in us. We are as Democrats. I believe the Democratic Party is also a party that is a party of compassion. It is a party that believes in domestic social programs, which I believe in. I believe they're necessary as long as they're not abused, and I believe people need these social programs. That is why I am a Democrat, and that is why I'm running to be your all's judge for the 444. Thank you.
I'm running as a Democrat because I am a Democrat. from a family of little people, which is what I think the Democratic Party represents. You know, it speaks to the little people, not to big business or big money, but just one little person at a time. But in all due respect to the question, when the people come in front of the family court, they're not Democrats, they're not Republicans, they have no party affiliation. Families need redress, they need help, they need justice as quickly as they can possibly get it. And so when people come, it doesn't matter what party they are, and it never will matter what contributions are given or not given. It will be about the best interest of the children and about how to help these horribly hurting families at the time that they need most.
J.J. Martinez.
I don't want to sound possessive, but I'll take votes from Republicans and I'll take votes from Democrats anytime. I think I have the weirdest answer because I learned about politics in a little organization called Raza Unida. I was just a baby, I was just a kid. And they told me they wanted to help the poor, and they told me they wanted to help the indigent, they told me they wanted to help the elderly, they told me they wanted to help the sick. So that's my party. And then it was destroyed by Nixon. He gave us $1.5 million to destroy the Democratic Party. And I said, wow, that's my dad and my mom, they're Democrats. The only times that my family has voted Republican was for Eisenhower in the 50s, and then for President Lincoln in 1960. He wanted to help the poor. Thank you.
I'm running as a Democrat because I am a Democrat. I've always been a Democrat. I've run before and I've been a Democrat. It's the party of the people. It's the people that come before us in court. The Republicans are concerned more about the corporate entities than they are about the people themselves. And the Democratic Party is a party of compassion. It looks out for the little person. And those are the people that need to be looked out after the most. And I have never even considered any other party but the Democratic Party, and I'm running as a Democrat. Thank you.
Thank you. Our fourth question will be number 5 on your list, and we'll start on the extreme left. The question is, the South Texas legal system has acquired a rather negative reputation in both criminal cases and in civil judgments. What is your assessment of this allegation, and what remedy, if any, would you support and encourage? Mr. Gonzalez, 1¼ minutes.
Question is, why is South Texas we've gotten a bad reputation? And I'll tell you why we've gotten a bad reputation is people don't have faith in our legal system. People now believe that there are deals going on. People believe now that it's maybe who the lawyer is that you get to appear before a judge is going to influence who the judge does a decision that he or she is going to make. I will promise you all this, is that the way I remedy it is by listening to both sides and making a fair and impartial decision for the community. Sometimes the decisions that we make for the community, whether it's a murderer, a sexual abuser of a child, we've got to make decisions that are tough sometimes, but we've got to make decisions that us as a community can respect. I think by doing that, by giving transparency to the court, by making decisions that are maybe unpopular decisions, I think also gives people faith back into the system. And I will promise you this, is that if I'm elected, I'm going to be fair and impartial and listen to both sides. You can ask people about my reputation, and they'll tell you that. Javier is very objective. Javier listens to both sides, and then he makes a decision. Thank you.
Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Cassidy.
I think when judges don't follow the law, that's where the issues come up. If a judge keeps his or her eye on the ball, meaning following the law, then there's always that defense of whatever decision is being criticized to say, here is the law. It's when the judges, in my opinion, have discretion and they deviate from the law, and we've seen that a number of times. It hits the paper and everybody comments about it, and yet when it comes time to go vote, to right those wrongs, to say, I'd like to put a judge in there who will follow the law, all the times we don't go to the polls. We don't get out and vote. We say our vote doesn't make a difference. But in this case, if we don't like the perception of what our courts are, if we need to make sure that we investigate the people who are running for it, the candidates, make sure that we elect a good candidate who will follow the law, and then we won't have to worry about the common perception of maybe that, our courts are not as good as they should be or whatever, because we do need to make sure that qualified people are in office. And if you elect me, I will make sure that there is no favoritism, there is no according to the person standing in front of me. Justice is blind, and I will follow the law and make sure that the law prevails in my court.
Another question? Judge Martinez, question number 5.
I'm not a district judge so far. I can't blame myself for bad problems or situations in the law. Justice is a difficult thing, 2,500 years ago, people got together, discovered and created a doctrine called the Magna Carta. And they talked about due process there. And they talked about equal justice. And then Jefferson talked about exact justice. It's not easy. I blame O.J. in the criminal side for messing up the criminal system. I blame Britney Spears for messing up the family system. And I blame the corporations that killed a lot of people and nobody goes to jail. We do have our problems, but I think here locally we're blessed and that we got good people in our society, and we make people accountable. In the meantime, when it comes to juveniles, I think that we need to change the model to give them second chances, because our country is about second chances. And the most perfect man in the world, 2007 days ago, got crucified. So I'm not perfect, but I'll do my best. I'm not the best, I won't be the best judge, but I'll do my best. Thank you very much.
As judges, we often have to make very difficult decisions. There's discretion in the law as to what a judge can do, and then sometimes a judge makes a decision that the public looks upon and frowns upon, and if that decision is made on a reasonable basis, if the judge makes a decision for the proper reasons, then that is the function of a judge to make decisions that may not be popular. If the decision was made improper or on proper grounds, it should not have been made at all. I have been a federal court judge for over 17 and a half years. I listen to both sides. I follow the law, and I pride myself in knowing what the law is. A judge should never, ever make a decision that goes against the law. For no reason, there's no reason for that. And again, it depends on the persons that you put into office, the people that you give an opportunity to represent you, and we are there because of you. And if at any time you sincerely feel that that candidate, that judge, is not doing his job, has not lived up to his legal responsibilities as the judge, and he's abusing his position, then your goal is still there to remove that judge. But I promise you that I will follow the law as I have for 17 and a half years, and I will make my decisions based on the law and the facts and the people before me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roses. Again, we're going to start on my extreme left with question number 9. We asked it earlier this evening. I'll read the question. Ad litem cases. Those cases attorneys are appointed to by the court in order to represent the interests of others, i.e. guardianship, probate, widows. In other words, those who are not able to defend their own interests or affairs. Would you consider a fair method of rotation in which willing and qualified attorneys would be selected without preferential selection on the part of the court? One of the court of minutes, Mr. Gonzalez.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, ad litem attorneys are attorneys that are appointed by the judges. The judges get to appoint the attorneys to represent typically minors in lawsuits where minors have sued for what type of injury they had in a car accident, or they've had some type of major accident where they've been injured and they're going to be paid some money. This is really what it speaks to the heart of ad litem attorneys. I will tell you now, the case law is the judges don't really have a lot of discretion now on these fees. The judges now have to require attorneys, unless agreed to prove up the amount of time that they spend on a case, and to also award them on an hourly basis what a fair and reasonable fee is for ad litem attorneys. I do believe in rotating on ad litem attorneys based on their qualifications, his or her qualifications to the particular case, whether it's an ad litem attorney in a civil case, an ad litem attorney on a publication, for example, in a newspaper, or an ad litem attorney in another type of case. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Campbell.
There are other purposes for ad litems, and that is in the family law field. The family law field, often the court will appoint ad litem an attorney to represent a child. I have had numerous children over the years sitting in my office just shaking at the thought of going to spend more time with mom or more time with dad, crying out to be heard, to tell their story to someone. And when the court appoints an ad litem for that child does have a voice in court. That child is able to be heard. Also, ad litems are appointed for unknown fathers and adoptions, where there's a dad whose rights are going to be terminated, and there is no known person, and the court will then go ahead and appoint an ad litem to represent that person, so that that unknown father has a voice in court when his rights are terminated. As far as a rotation concern, this is a different situation than the kind of ones in the personal injury cases. The ones in the personal injury cases, the ad litems, they earn a lot more money. In the family law cases, most of the attorneys do it almost pro bono, because again, the parties don't have any money, and they have every bit the need that every other child does. So a lot of the times the attorneys do it pro bono.
Thank you, madam. Mr. Martinez.
Attorney ad litem play a very important role in the field of justice, especially in the juvenile and family court. They call it CP, the Child Protective Services. But that's one side of the coin. The other coin for ad litems is the civil lawsuits, the wrongful deaths, the personal injuries. That's where ad litems make quite a lot of money. And the story so far is, I was talking to an attorney whose last name I'm not going to mention, but he started with a C, and he approached this judge, says, "Judge, I've been practicing for 30 years, and I've never gotten an ad litem over here in the happy side, the money side. How come?" He said, "Well," he says, "I go by the alphabet." "Well, Judge, you must not have a C in your alphabet." Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rosas.
I do believe he uses attorneys ad litem on a rotation basis, and depending upon the type of case, the type of attorney that I would appoint there. In my court, the cases that I hear dealing with family law, child support issues, most of the people don't have the funds to pay an attorney ad litem, so I don't have a rotation. What I do is I depend on people like my friend over there. She helps a lot. And I depend on her a lot. In most of these cases, I do have to depend on attorneys that will help the court and represent people that are unable to represent themselves. When I have children before me that don't want to go with a parent, or because the other parent will not allow it, and perhaps that child has been brainwashed, well, we need someone to represent that child so the court can find out what is happening in the case. And That's all I feel about it. Thank you.
We started a little bit late after the break, so we only have time for one more question. I'm sorry to say. We'll start again on, we'll start on my right. And this will be question number, well, you don't have it. This is my question. Which clubs and civic organizations have you participated in, starting with your formative years in middle school to present? Include your political, religious, business, and fraternal appointments and affiliations. What have you done with your life? Mr. Wilson. 1 and 4 minutes.
Besides trying to work hard, I don't belong to too many affiliations. I have been too busy working to support my family. I've been working, doing my job. I established the master court. I developed all these procedures at times, and even today, that I take work home. I am a member of the Christ the King Catholic Church. I do help my wife and I belong to some committees at the school. But most of my life has been involved in educating myself, supporting my family, being the best judge that I can be, taking work home, doing what I have to do to see that my court runs properly. As a result, I don't belong to too many organizations. I am a member of the Democratic Party. I am a member of the State Bar. Thank you.
Mr. Martinez.
I started with a very down-to-earth type of organizations, Mayo, Brownsville, Brownsville, like I said before. And I graduated into a buen vecino, helping. I like buen vecino because the child needed shoes, we got them shoes, we needed food, we got them food. I got involved with the health services because I'm at that stage where suddenly health has become very important to me. And then I wanted to help the indigent also. And I told the people there, as long as you treat the indigent with respect and help them out, you have the best friends, staff, and administrators of the Brownsville Health Community District. But once you start rejecting the poor and not helping them like you're supposed to, then you're going to have the worst enemy. And that's been my standard in my involvement with community organizations to help the indigent. I've done so for more than 35 years. Thank you very much.
Ms. Cassidy.
Growing up in a Catholic family, I was part of the Sodality, which is the women's group of the local Catholic Church. And then, of course, I was educating myself. And when we came to the Valley in 1990, I joined the San Bernardino Rotary Club. So I've been a Rotarian for the last 17 years and have had perfect attendance, which means you go to all the meetings or make up somewhere. As a Rotarian, I have been co-founder over the last 10 years of the Adoption Awareness Picnic. This is a picnic every November. We just celebrated our 10th picnic, where we invite CPS to bring the children out, and we Rotarians put on a picnic to get children adopted. Also, as a Rotarian years ago, I did for several years, I did the Kid Fish program, which was bringing fishing tournaments to San Benito so that the children and the families could have a function or have something that they could do as a family. I've also, in other civic areas, I've been on the appraisal district. I hesitate to say this without a bulletproof vest. For the last 11 years and for the last 3 years, I have been the chairperson of the appraisal district. I'm trying to think what else I have been doing all this time. I have to read my push card too. I've been, and a very important thing as a director, as a director on the Bar Association for the past 2 years. In this last year, we started a pro bono project which helps people get divorced when they can't afford attorneys. And actually, we were given an award by the state for that program.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
The memberships that I've been a member in, the first one that I'm a member of is, of course, my own house, the Gonzalez family. I'm a member in that. I've been a member with my wife and Javier and Lalo. I'm also a Catholic. I go to church at St. Joseph over on St. Francis Street. I'm also in clubs. I'm a board member on the Children's Museum Board of Brownsville, where I've been a director on that board. I'm also a member of the Propeller Club for Brownsville and Port Isabel. It's a club that promotes the port, promotes the activities with the port, shrimpers, the Brownsville Navigation District, Coast Guard, things such as that. I'm also a former member of the West Brownsville Lions Club. I was also a member when I was in high school. I was in the National Honor Society. In college, I was in the Who's Who. I also was in a club for economics as well. I also have done work in the pro bono for Cameron County. I've done family law cases. I've done cases that even have taken me into bankruptcy court. I've learned bankruptcy as well. I'm also a member of the State Bar of Texas and a member of our own Cameron County Bar Association. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our questions. Before we go to our candidate recap, we'll have 2.5 minutes for our candidate recap. That gives candidates a chance to pick up anything they felt they left out or anything that they feel that you need to know. But before I do that, I'd like to make a quick announcement. On February the 6th, that's Wednesday, 3 weeks from now, we are going to, STGG will host the forum for the DA's office. Mr. Villalobos and Mr. Valetta are committed to be here for that event, and we'll probably also have the sheriff's candidates, both Republican and Democrat, on that venue. And then 2 weeks after that, on February 20th, we have commitments from Representative Oliveira and John Shergold for the District 37 race. And also, the second part of that venue will have Cameron County Precinct 1, Mrs. Benavides and Mr. Rosenbaum. So we'll start on my right, and these will be the closing statements. Mr. Rosas.
First of all, I want to recognize Angela Nix. That's the attorney that's always there as an advisor to help me in my court. Thank you, Angela.
Always pro bono happy.
I also want to recognize my wife, Connie Rosas, is here. I have my 8-year-old son playing on the computers next door. Now he's 8 years old, and when I pick him up from school, his friends say, "Andy, here comes your granddad." As I was 47 years old when my wife and I had him, but he's our pride and joy. And the hardest thing about running is that I can't be there as much as I used to before I come to the library on Sundays. But there'll be enough time for that after I win. But ladies and gentlemen, a black robe does not give a judge wisdom, understanding, or compassion. These things have to be learned through our life experiences. And there's Andy. I have been a busboy, I have been a machinist, I have been a police officer, a detective, a law student, a lawyer, both defense and prosecution, and I have been a judge for over 17.5 years. In all those positions, I have dealt with people from all walks of life. I have heard thousands of cases. I have seen the good and the bad. My experience speaks for itself. I'm the only candidate that's a veteran. I'm the only candidate that has police experience. I'm the only candidate that graduated valedictorian of his law school class. And I'm the only candidate that has continuous 17.5 years of judicial experience. Now, sometimes when people vote, they base it on whether a candidate was eloquent. He gave a good lecture, he gave a good speech. I'm talking from the heart, ladies and gentlemen. I care about what I do. I'd like to paraphrase something that there's a song, I believe, I like the oldies but goodies. And I want to paraphrase something to you. And it goes something like this. I'm beginning to think that a person has never found the words that could have you vote for me, that have the right amount of letters, just the right sound, that can make you see, make you feel that I am sincere when I tell you that I want to be your district judge because I care. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberto Rosas. Mr. J.J. Martinez.
my last chance before the DA speaks, I used to say in my closing statements, and I'm not gonna have time to come back and refute anything. I just want to say that I've had by accident or act of God, I've had a lot of experience in family court, not just child support, but everything else. And it's taught me one thing, and that's to be humble, because I have a lot of respect for lawyers and judges. I think being a judge is a very noble thing. I don't get along with maybe a little bit less than a third of lawyers that go to the court prior side, because sometimes they come in with notions of no child support. And I say, well, I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen here. This is children of my priority. I will not be part of that crime that you want to commit on the children by saying no child support. I've had a lot of child support cases, and I've only placed one person in jail. It's not because I'm liberal. It's not because I'm dumb. It's not because I'm an idiot. And evidently, being an idiot has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with being civil. I placed him in jail for 2 hours and came up with the money. That was my interest. I'm not interested in putting people in jail. I just want children to be fed. I keep telling the people that go before the court every day, children need love, lots of love, unconditional love, but they also need money. And I have a lot of trouble with parents sometimes. They come in and they tell their child or their children, hate your dad, hate your dad. And then sometimes dad comes in with that demon in his eyes and says, hate your mom, hate your mom. In the meantime, the child doesn't know what to do. And when the child says, I want to stay with mom or I want to stay with dad, they get all confused. They think that the child is making a choice. Has nothing to do with it. They love their parents. They think, and I tell parents this every day, you're gods to your child. You're gods. You can tell them to become a hateful person, they'll become a hateful person. You're like God. That's what we have to deal with every day. And we might call it justice. So be it. But I call it being a human being. Thank you very much.
I've been with the families. I've heard them in my office. I've heard them at the courthouse. I've seen lawyers take the easy way out. Let's just divide up the children. Let dad take one and mom take two. What kind of nonsense is that? I've seen let's just slash and burn and get out of here. That's not what this is about. This is a family unit, and they are hurting. They have problems, and truly, no court, no attorney can save the world, but we need to do a better job. We need to try harder. We need to have more rules. It was said tonight that there's, not a lot of law involved in family law, but there really is. There are things like summary judgments and mediation, things that need to be put into place, because our docket system is spiraling out of control with too many cases, too many people who need to be heard. We need to get a handle on this. And it just is something that it must be done. Otherwise, what's happening is there are attorneys, and I didn't finish this before, I would rotate the ad litem docket, not because more than one to spread the wealth around, but to spread the work around. In other words, to take the burden of the pro bono cases off people like Angela Nix, who does an incredible amount of, and Julio, they do an incredible amount of pro bono work. I mean, we need to spread that around. And when you do that in your own practice, as well as at the courthouse, because you're helping out a judge, you can really end up in financial problems. And I think God smiles on all the family law attorneys who take these issues to heart. And you can see who they are when you go into the courtroom. And I having been on that side, I have some very good ideas about what to do with the court to make it more organized, and I ask for your vote and allow me to do that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Cassidy. Mr. Gonzalez. Javier Gonzalez.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I think the fact that you all are here shows that you're interested in our community. What I will tell you all is this, is that when you all go to the booth and decide who to vote for, think about the things that you look for as a judge. What are the qualities that you look for in a judge as a person? Look at the character of a person, look at the reputation of a person, that's very important, and look at the qualifications of a person. I will tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, that we are up here, that this court has to give preference to family law cases. But the court's going to handle, I stress that, criminal and civil cases as well. The reason why I stress that is because you all are going to need a judge who's been a trial attorney, who's handled all types of cases on both sides of the docket, and who can understand the procedure involved when somebody comes in, wants to put a trial on before a jury, what voir dire is, in the jury selection. A judge that knows the proper standards and the burdens of proof on the parties when they come before the court. You need a judge who's going to be making tough decisions in certain cases. I come to you all because I'm a parent and I'm a citizen of this county. I'm a lifelong resident of the county. The fact that I'm a parent of 2 boys, we have to apply the law when we sit on the bench, but we take that into our courtroom. We take our experiences. So we have to look at those when we make a decision on tough cases, whether it's murder cases in our community, sexual abuse cases, or what is right or in the best interest of the children in a marriage that's being split up. You have to make a decision not based on politics, not based on who the lawyer is in front of you, but based on the facts of the case and based on the law. I will promise you that I will do that. There's transparency with me. Citizens of this county, ask people around about my reputation, who I am. I'm the first time running for a judge, but people will tell you about my integrity and tell you about my reputation and hard work. I also will be fair, and I believe one thing, because we've been talking about this up here, it's been thrown around about representing poor people, who we represent in this case. As a judge, you are there to represent everybody in Cameron County. You're not there to represent poor, you're there to represent middle class, upper class. You're there to represent everybody and treat everybody fairly and with dignity and make a decision based on the law and make a decision that you can look at yourself and have a clear conscience knowing that you made the right decision. Please vote, get out there and vote, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. And on behalf of STGG, I'd like to thank all of you for your civility, your candidacy, and for giving us a good choice. Thank you.